I think we're recording. Yeah, we're recording. What up, everybody? Welcome back, Kings, Queens, everything in betweens. It's another episode of the Peasant Party Podcast. I am your host, Charlotte Warren. You guys know me. And I've got two very special guests in studio with me. I'll let them take it away, and then I'll jump in with little tidbits.
Yeah, my name's Eric Weiss, and this is my wife, Bianca Alonso, and we are friends with Charlotte and wanted to come onto the podcast to talk about our experience in a relationship, which we're in a very happy, committed marriage, and you, in your dating niche, cover a lot of ground, but we thought that we could add to that.
Absolutely. And before Bianca introduces herself, Eric is our sound guy. So all of the fun little jingles that you hear on the podcast, all of the editing, that is all Eric.
Yeah.
So in addition to, I think they will have great insight because their marriage is absolutely beautiful. I think it's also great that Eric can see the exact equipment we're working with. And then also, Eric is not a full-time employee of mine or anything. If you are a podcaster or if you have sound editing needs, Eric is an undrafted free agent. So please go to Eric for your podcast editing.
Put me in, coach.
He's absolutely fantastic. And we'll plug for him. But I feel like we haven't even introduced Bianca yet. Bianca, introduce yourself. Hi, Bianca.
Hi, Charlotte. Hi, Eric. It's nice to see you after work. My name is Bianca Alonso Weiss. Although I have not changed my last name yet, I don't know if I will. But yeah, I am Eric's wife. I am his groupie when it comes to his music stuff. I am his soundboard when it comes to any and all music production, mixing, all that sort of stuff. Eric and I have been living in Austin for about a little over 5.5 years. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And we'll walk that back because I feel like I jumped in to call Eric sound guy Eric. Eric, who are you? Because Bianca mentioned your music. Are you?
I am sound guy Eric, and I work full time as an engineering consultant, and then I do music and sound production as a side hustle.
Nice. And then I met both of you through Michelle. I think it was probably and was it maybe like 2019, 2020?
Yeah.
Definitely a time in my life where a lot of nights blurred together. Just thinking back to who I was in those years. But you guys have been such a rock in my time in Austin since I met both of you along with the rest of our friends. I know that before y'all got married, I think it was very early on in your engagement, if I remember correctly. You guys have just always had a relationship that I admired and looked up to, and it's I think a beautiful thing, and I'm excited to hear you guys kind of talk more about your journeys, and that's how I know you guys.
It's been a journey.
It has been a journey, and thank you for saying all that, Charlotte. That was really nice to hear.
You're so welcome. Also, before we dive in, Bianca is wearing some really beautiful earrings right now.
Hang on, please.
Just like Eric has a really cool side hustle, so does Bianca.
Take these off for a second. Yes. My little pandemic hobby that has now turned into a side hustle is making polymer clay earrings. Is it awkward if I look into the camera?
No, look wherever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's awkward if you ask about it.
Thank you. But yeah, so during the pandemic when we were in lockdown, I, like many other people, got bored, and I started dabbling in working with polymer clay. It's basically a clay form of plastic that you can cure in a regular oven and make earrings out of them. So I'm wearing these. They are very, very lightweight. All the metals that I use for the earrings themselves are stainless steel, hypoallergenic. So even for the most sensitive ears, these will not hurt you. I launched an Etsy shop, I want to say October sounds about right. So if you want to check out my Etsy shop, look up Crafts by Alonso, ALONSO.etsy.com.
Woo! And I'm wearing some too. I've got some little ones. We need the headphones; they're a necessary evil. But I love mine. Can we see them?
Yes, we see them.
Perfect.
Yes.
No, I love them. I'm like, sweet, I'm wearing all black today. But no, you can wear them for any occasion. We'll go to weddings, and so many times it's oh, you're wearing Bianca earrings. It's
yes.
You can wear them anywhere. They're super light. I never like dangly earrings because they're so heavy. Mm-hmm. These are different. So I'm a huge fan.
Yes, thank you.
Now that we've done some plugging, yeah, like, can we go from the beginning? Because when I met both of you, you were already like recently engaged, and I feel like I've heard bits and pieces of how you both met, your story. Tell me from the beginning. How'd you guys meet?
Okay. We met on Hinge when we were both still living in Washington, D.C. I mentioned that I am from the D.C. area originally, Bethesda, Maryland specifically, and Eric moved to D.C. after college. So like many millennials in 2016, we got connected on Hinge, went out on our first date, and our first date consisted of going to this it was like a gastropub place on 14th Street, and when I actually funny when I first saw Eric on Hinge, I thought, dear God, he looks like Nick Jonas in like the best way though, and this was like around the time when Nick Jonas was having his solo career, and I'm like, Jonas, he is my Jonas.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you remember
her friends called me Jonas for like a year and a half without me knowing.
Yeah,
I love
that
it.
was
We all have our nicknames.
Nickname. Yeah,
we all have like nicknames for dudes. It's always funny when like they inadvertently find out their nicknames and stuff.
Oh,
it's
totally.
Like, it's all and like sometimes like you have to explain where it came from. But no, I love that.
I looked over her shoulder at her texting her friend, and I'm like, "Who are you talking about?" And she like looked at me and like blood drained from her face, turned pale white. She's like, I'm talking about you.
You are Jonas.
That's so funny.
I mean, I feel like having the nickname of Jonas when it's in like reference to Nick Jonas, who's like a pretty attractive guy, that's a compliment. Yeah. You could have had a worse nickname.
Absolutely. So when you guys met, and I think Hinge has evolved a lot over the years.
Yeah.
Did you have like a opening line or like a thing? Was there a thing about one another's profiles that stood out to you, or did the sparks really fly like in person?
I'll be honest, I don't know if I remember.
It's hard to like. There's just so much. You have to like be talking to so many different people and holding all these different conversations at the same time. Like I don't remember like my opening line that was like a winner. It was just like once we went on that first date and it went so well. I mean, the best thing about that first date was it was on a Friday, and when I was on the dating apps, I would reserve Friday for going out with my friends. Like I would do like dating app dates like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like maybe on the weekend. Or like Thursday, Friday, Saturday were like I wanted to go out.
Yeah,
known quantities. Yeah. Like I always have my anti-Saturday first date rule, just because like there's 52 of those a year, and if you have a bad one, it's more memorable. Like if you have to get out of bed for somebody versus Tuesday you're wearing the same thing you wore to work, like no big deal. But yeah, so the first date, like any like memorable stories from the first date, was there like an initial spark and like anything unique about it?
Spark, yes. I mean, I feel like when Eric and I like met in person for the first time, it was like the conversation flowed. We got along well. We asked like the surface level questions. Where are you from? What do you do? Whatever, as every other DC transplant does. But we just like got to talking about a slew of different things. But you asked about a funny story. I do have a funny story. On our first date, we went to this like gastropub, and at the time I was living in Bethesda. I was living in Bethesda, Maryland, but working in downtown DC, which were like geographically, think of it as like you work in downtown Austin, but you live up by the Domain, right? And this was a Friday night date.
More like Georgetown.
Okay. Oh, it's not that bad. It's not that far. Don't be dramatic. But anyways, so my thing was, okay, I'm meeting up with this guy at 7 p.m., but I'm still at my office. I don't think I'm going to have enough time to take the metro from downtown DC back to my apartment to like change or whatever, and then be on time for the date. So I just decided to stay at work late and then go meet him. In doing so, I had not eaten a thing since lunch. So I went into this date, can I swear?
Yes.
Fucking starving. Fucking starving.
Yeah, I had a similar thing where like I came right from work too, and it being a Friday, which was just like It was weird. It was like
Right,
stars lining up that it happened on Friday.
Yeah.
But then we were trying to figure out what to eat, and like I like after like the surface level conversation was going well, it was like, all right, do you want to like, we're on our second drink, do you want to get food?
Yeah.
And I like looked at the menu and I was like, how about this like wedge salad or something light? And Bianca internally was just like, God damn it. Fine.
It's also,
I'm skinny.
It's also worth noting that prior to meeting up with him, I looked at this place's menu because I knew how hungry I was. So like we all do, I scoped out the menu and I saw it had this like cheeseburger. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna have this cheeseburger. But but when we were at the when we were at the date, like we were vibing and I really liked him and I was still so fucking hungry. And so when Eric suggested like this chicken wedge salad, in my head I'm like, I don't want this guy to think that I'm a fucking fat ass because I want a cheeseburger. So I was like, fine.
And that's actually the same reason I ordered a salad, which I had no interest in doing. I was just like trying to like, I don't know.
I feel like those moments like in dating where it's like those like break character moments. You know how like in SNL everyone would always love like, even though you're not supposed to break character, like when Jimmy Fallon would just like start laughing, but like those moments where you're just like, I want a freaking cheeseburger, like you're not doing the like putting on a show anymore. I feel like that's where people like really let loose.
Well, that happened later in the night.
Nice.
So like I feel like the hallmark of a really good like first date is like if you make it to the second bar.
Oh yeah, like
make it to the
extending
second
it, changing locations.
Yeah.
How far did the first date stray from the original plan?
Far.
Nice.
Yeah.
Far.
Like, and that's why it was like
Nice.
Sparks flew after we left that.
Yeah.
Because when we got drunk food, I mean, we drank and like went out all night because like it was a Friday night and we weren't with our other friends. So it was like we could like go out and like let loose and that worked out.
I also remember we went to bars that we both said we had never been to but wanted to go to. So that was a cool experience too.
Went to a dueling piano bar in Georgetown in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Georgetown,
Texas. But Georgetown, Washington D.C. Yeah, we went to dueling piano bar and then I think we went to Orange Anchor when it was still open. And
rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Nice.
Great place.
Nice. And so you guys had like the meeting the friends like on your first date.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, our first date was just us.
Okay, cool.
We didn't meet up with any. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we like could have, but I don't feel like it wouldn't have gone as well had we done that. Like we were just out like just kind of singles together, like feeling it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we ended up getting drunk food, which was
that's the hallmark
Thank
of
God.
That's when Sparks flew. When we got like
and that saved my
totally
that saved my hangover.
Oh, absolutely. And so you had a good first Hinge date because like everyone talks about like, oh my gosh, you have like a great date that you meet from a dating app and then maybe you get to know that person for a few more dates and then maybe it doesn't go somewhere. Like kind of what was the journey from first date to the two of you here now sitting in this room with me? Like how did you guys know it was like the real deal? Like how did that go?
I knew that
Bianca asked me to be exclusive.
Well, I did.
That was when I knew it was real.
Yeah, I did.
And she was so courageous. Like that's so hard to do. This was like a couple weeks, months time frame of like seeing each other.
I also want to say that before I asked him to be exclusive, I want to say maybe like 2 months after we had met, my group of friends from high school and we were going to this like beer and food festival like at like somewhere in DC, and I invited Eric. And something about me is the friends that I have from home, we grew up together. I'm talking elementary school, middle school, high school, and then we all went to different colleges, but we came back, and like I still have like a very close core group of friends. And for me, a really big indicator of whether or not I was going to move forward with Eric is how he got on with my friends. And so I invited him to the beer fest that we were going to. And going back to earlier in the conversation, I was referring to him as Jonas. All of my friends did not know his real name. So the morning of the beer fest, I sent a very explicit text message to the group chat being like, guys, I'm bringing Eric in all caps. His name is Eric. It is not Jonas. Don't embarrass me.
I've had to rewrite. Yeah. I had moments in the past where I had to like rewrite, be like, this. By the way, this is their real name. Yeah, so I love that.
Yeah.
How'd he do on the beer fest?
Great.
Nice.
Yeah.
He did awesome.
Passed the test with flying colors.
Passed the
Pretty
test.
much.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was just a test. I thought it was just beer.
I mean,
I think I did well.
Yeah,
he did.
I wish beer was the test.
Yeah,
I would have
really did.
Gotten better grades in college if it was.
Yeah. I also feel like with groups of friends that have been together, that have been friends for their whole lives, it's very hard for a new person to come in.
It is.
And the fact that like Eric went into it like, in all honesty, blind, he had a name he didn't know about, and killed it was huge. That was huge. And that was when I knew, okay, like, this can be something.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, it sounds like it. And then, then you were exclusive, and then now you're here now. So what kind of happened next? Because obviously it sounds like you made the move to Austin before your engagement, and then you got engaged once living out here. How did that go? Because I feel like where you live is like a huge deal in a relationship. Like people moving for one another. Like someone gets a job. Like are we an I or are we a we? Like how did I become we? Is like,
Great
I think
question.
a big question.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really
So we were talking about moving in DC, and we were still like, we had been together for like a year and a half, 2 years. And then I got a job opportunity down here. And I told her like really on in the interview process that like this might be a thing. It's located in Austin. They would move me to Austin. And she was like, she was like Bianca had no intention of leaving the DC area because all of her friends there, family's there, grew up there, like great area to be in. Why leave? So I kind of dropped that on her, and a couple weeks later, everything came through, and then we had to make a hard decision, like how to do that. And Bianca's family was like, "You're gonna do what now?"
Yeah. When Eric got the job offer and like all the moving plans start falling into place. So Eric moved down before I did. He came down first, and then I came about like 6 months after. And when Eric was going through the interview process, I did say to him, I will not be the type of girlfriend that tells you, no, you have to stay here with me. I don't want to move. Like, no. I told him, if this is something that is going to advance your career, it's something that is going to be good for your future, seize it, and we will figure it out.
Yeah, and that's like us mentality.
Yeah.
So it had that going. So that was really strong.
Yeah. However, when Eric, accepted the offer and like the move was happening and already happened, I was not 100% committed to moving to Austin. Like that was such a scary and foreign thought for me. My entire uprooting my entire life of 28 years at that point to move to 1,500 miles away, leaving everything I ever known for a guy. And
without a ring.
Without a ring.
That was
my parents were not thrilled about that one. When I told them that I landed a job down here and that that this was happening, they thought I had completely lost my fucking mind. And it's my parents are both immigrants. They both grew up in very, very traditional households, like traditional in the sense where the women did not move out of the house until they got married. So the fact that I was considering leaving their grass,
the nest,
yes, the nest for a guy and no ring, that was Looney Tunes in their minds.
So what was that conversation like? Because I'm sure that was a conversation
there were a lot of
Eric about there's no ring. When's the ring coming? Like the ex, you probably had to go back to your parents with something that would comfort them in some way. And what did those conversations look like, particularly around kind of, because I feel like families are always such a unique topic to touch upon in dating.
Yeah.
Like when you marry somebody, you marry into a family, and like everyone always says you turn into your parents. I feel like I'm turning into my mom all the time. Like what did those conversations look like?
Her her parents she asked me to talk to her parents one-on-one, like without her there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to say like several times.
It was a couple times, but like the first time was the big one, and it was just like I had to sell him on the idea that I wasn't gonna just pull the rug out from under her, which happens to like which happens to a lot of people.
That was a very real fear I had. Like,
I feel like
regardless of those conversations, that was a big fear I had.
You've read like mailbag things on this podcast about like, I moved to this city with a guy and then we're no longer together and like now I'm trying to navigate dating. So like that was a very real and present danger for her.
Oh yeah, because it's like I know I've had a lot of friends where it's like they hate the word ultimatum, but it's like I'm like, because no one wants to be like, oh, I'm the one that moved for just, you know, a guy on a whim and stuff. It's like, I'll move for a fiance. I wouldn't move for like just a boyfriend or something. Is like the conversation you hear a lot, and then, you know, usually shortly after the engagement happens or shortly before. Yeah, like, I mean, was that a part of the conversation, or how did that look? And, you know, did it feel ultimatum-y to you or anything? If you that's how it went.
I don't consider it ultimatum-y, but well, one thing that I said to Eric, and I'm pretty sure my parents laid it on even thicker, but one thing that I said is, if I'm going to do this, I hope it's clear that you and I are not going to be just playing house. My hope is that your intention is, with my moving down here, that you plan on eventually proposing to me, or I guess taking a step back, like you can see a future and a life with me. And this isn't just like, oh, like, la-di-da.
She's here. That's nice.
She's here. Yeah.
But there's some context here. We hadn't moved in together in DC.
Yeah.
So we were like trying to figure out if we should move in together. And then this job opportunity came up, and I was like, I don't feel like our relationship is at that point where we should move in together.
And I did not take it well, sure.
Yeah, that was tough conversation. But having those tough conversations is how you go from like, back to your question, like, how do you go from I to we? Like it's like choosing to have that tough conversation, as opposed to just kind of letting it go and hope that it works out.
Yeah.
And you didn't take it well. How'd that go?
A lot of tears.
A lot of tears. A lot of tears. At that time, I took it as Eric's pulling away. And that it didn't break my heart, but that shook me, because Eric was my first real boyfriend. I had been in situationship hell up until I met Eric.
Yeah, and Bianca was also my first like long-term committed relationship.
Yeah.
So we're both only children. So this is like,
damn.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are navigating. You're up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. And then you came back here. You found your way here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
situationship hell. That's good.
That's a place that I think a lot of our listeners
feel free to use that. Yeah, I mean, and I was terrified that at that time, you know, we were, like Eric said, like 2.5 years in, that this time that I had invested in him, that it was going to be all for nothing, because he did not want to move in with me. And I was seeing, my friends starting to move in with their boyfriends and get engaged and get married. And I'm like, fuck, I'm behind. And I didn't know it at the time, but that was the best decision for us. Because now I see that Eric needed that time with his friends, and I needed that time to kind of just do my own thing. And
while our relationship
still grew.
If we had rushed into that, it just would have like,
oh god,
it could have gone so many different directions.
Totally. It wouldn't have set us up for success. And when I ultimately moved down here, like I said, it was a very real fear that when I came down here, this could all implode. It could crash and burn. Despite the conversations Eric had with my parents at that point, the support I got from my friends, I was terrified that it was going to crash and burn, because I was starting from scratch. Like, he was he was the only person really I knew down here. And then I moved down here, and I realized that, like, through friends of friends and acquaintances, like I kind of did know some people here.
Yeah, back to your original point about Clance.
Yeah.
Clance is her friend from high school.
So
she like posts on Facebook, and she's all concerned, like, I'm only going to have you. This is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
And then she posts like, hey, I'm moving down here. And like people start coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Oh,
so true.
If you're moving to any new city, like do the Facebook post of who, like not even just who lives here, but who knows somebody who lives here. Like, because I've gotten the, hey, my friend is moving to Austin. Will you go to lunch with her? And like people like I like getting those. Like I'm like, fuck yeah, new friends. Like if that is your situation, like do those posts, like go on Facebook, like go on Boomer Book, go on Instagram, like do all of those, not just who lives here, but who knows someone who lives here. Like it is not weird. Like that's how you make friends. And then now I'm friends with you guys.
Exactly.
And then you move here and then you had a lovely engagement, a lovely marriage. What's the proposal story?
We went out to Fredericksburg and we did like that wine tour bus. So there's like a bus that just goes like shuttles people between the wineries on 270. And we had done a trip to San Antonio, so it was all like kind of in the guise of we're going and doing a San Antonio trip. And Bianca's like a planner, and I am I make plans, but I'm not a planner. So she made all these plans, and I made like a shadow set of plans.
Nice.
And
did you have help in the form of a friend that could like
several? Several. Nice. I needed help on several. Bro. It was a team effort. It really was. Because like
it took a village.
You can't say I can't make a comment about her nails. I haven't once in our at that point like 5-year relationship have once commented on your nails. Yeah. So if all of a sudden I'm like, hey, are you gonna get your nails done? Like dead giveaway.
Yeah. Dead giveaway. Did you know? Were you surprised?
I was surprised. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I was. I'm trying. I don't think I knew. Actually, when we went to Spain in the summer of 2019, I think that was when he asked my parents for permission to propose.
Nice.
And then he proposed February of 2020. So I knew he had asked permission, but I honestly had no idea when it was coming. And I told him that I wanted to be surprised, and he delivered.
Nice. Well, I love that. And I remember that. And then I remember that you both got married. And then, you've had what appears to be a very, very lovely marriage since. And got a lot of like journeys and stuff coming up as well.
For sure. And and something that I kind of realized in like the past like month or so, Eric and I have lived in Austin for a majority of our relationship.
Yeah.
I haven't ever thought about that.
Yeah. No, it's
like we've been together longer in Austin than we had been in DC.
And
now you're going back.
Yeah. And now we're moving back. And it's just, I mean, I feel like just us having that time here in Austin has really transformed our relationship into our marriage into something that I don't know if we would have had this same like, ground or synergy if we had stayed in DC and had done the distance thing like forever and ever.
Yeah, because we built it from scratch here.
We really did. We really did.
Building the foundation in DC, you would have had friends. You would have had like you had comfort to lean on, and here it was like no, like either it's gonna work and it's gonna be awesome, or it's not. So,
exactly.
But after you moved down, we were, it was working.
Oh yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I know we've talked a lot today we've talked about families. We've talked about kind of like looking ahead, being a planner. I actually want to get your help because I feel like you guys would be the perfect people to help me with this mailbag question. And it is a little bit of a heavy hitter. So I think you guys would be great, just particularly talking about, family like backgrounds and stuff. So the mailbag, the subject is the real life big sick maybe. I, female 28, recently had a second date with a guy, male 28, who I really liked. We have a ton in common when it comes to interests and are in similar industries. I am 99% sure I would like to see him again, and not just want, I'd be very excited to. My issue is with the 1% thing. Also, it's not so much a thing as much as it is a potential thing. To preface this, he did not do anything wrong, and there is no issue with him as a person. However, on our second date, I learned a bit more about his family and ethnic background. He's from a culture where arranged marriages are the norm, and he's first-gen American with parents born outside the U.S. I'm dating with the intention of finding a serious relationship, hopefully that ends in marriage. And while I really like this guy, I can't help but wonder if that could be a non-starter in this case. If it is, I really want to protect my time and feelings and not continue dating someone where there might be a built-in ending. The dilemma I have, though, is that he has not come anywhere close to mentioning any of this directly. He has never indicated his parents expect an arranged marriage or mentioned it at all. These are all my assumptions, which does make me feel judgy. On top of this, while I like to be direct and think there's no such thing as scaring someone off, trying to bring up marriage so directly on date 3 does seem like too much. But at the same time, I don't know that I have it in me to wait it out and then end up getting hurt later. So it feels like a triple-edged sword. This probably sounds like I'm counting the ducks way before they hatch, but I do have slight PTSD from a past relationship from my early 20s from a guy with a similar background, and it really hurt. I'd like to avoid it happening again. What do I do?
Sounds like a tough nut to crack.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being scared of arranged marriages, I just feel like that's a very Western fear. You know what I mean? And it's like marriages, like you get kind of steered into them from the same kind of considerations that go into an arranged marriage, like you're like where you are in society, like what your interests are and everything like that. It's just the Western way of doing it is to pretend like you have this illusion of choice. But you know, on the other side of the world, it's, you know, it's just more upfront about being realistic about those types of things. I feel like. So I mean, I'd say ride it out, and hopefully the parents are super cool, which a lot of, you know, whether it's Indian or, you know, some kind of, you know, Eastern Asian, where that tradition's more, you know, common, that they're going to be super cool. Not everybody's super hard line, like it has to be this way, or they're super religious. And at the end of the day, you may get an Indian wedding, which I've heard is awesome.
Oh, but
I've always wanted to go. I've always wanted to go to an Indian wedding. God.
Oh, same here.
I say hold out for the Indian wedding.
Because
I kind of second that. And
we're super unpacky here, so I'm gonna like have a bunch of little like follow up questions after your initial thoughts.
Yeah. So I too am a first generation American, and granted, like my family, they don't practice like an arranged marriage thing. But one thing that I can relate to is, kind of turning out a little more Americanized than my parents expected. Because like I said, my parents were very traditional. The women did not move out of the house until they got married. So my parents were raising a teenage girl. You know, I was going out with my friends. I wanted to be with my friends more than with my parents, which at the time I feel like I definitely got quite a bit of side eye from my parents but that's normal. And so my point in saying that is that I hope this person doesn't scare themselves into thinking that this person they are dating isn't, you know, is like doesn't automatically default to their parents' wishes. And I think you said that they've only been out on 2 dates, or they're going on their second date.
We see a lot of people who count the chickens before they hatch.
It's too soon to tell.
Yeah,
too soon to tell. If this person's enjoying, you know, this other person's company, like Eric said, ride it out. See, I mean, and just see where it goes. I mean, I don't think it's worthwhile to sit there and turn yourself inside out over the possibility of maybe the parents not liking you because you're not part of their culture.
Yeah, and because that's something I've like realized too is you know, first gen Americans do turn out more Americanized. And I do think like, you know, a guy in his late 20s, you know, it's not the same as like in college where you can rationalize a relationship as we won't get married. Like, I don't think that, you know, a guy, especially if it's one she likes, would, you know, think in his head like, oh, this is just my fun dating. Like, I think, you know, if he was, you know, very much in tune with his parents' values, he would probably, you know, avoid dating people that maybe don't line up with what they're looking for.
That's a good point.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I think too, like, and maybe to ease your fears, because I do think like going in on a date, like, oh, like, do you do arranged marriages? Like that would be very direct. It would also come off as extremely ignorant. But I've also found just, and these work as like really fun questions too, is go on date 3. Some of my favorite date questions to ask for totally different reasons are, do you have any weddings coming up? Are you in any weddings? Like talking about bachelorette parties, kind of getting a feel for his social circle. If he has siblings that are married or in relationships, what was their wedding like? Do you get along with your brother, sister-in-law? And like just asking those fun questions about family. And like, I feel like those kinds of things would reveal themselves quickly. Like,
absolutely.
What's this kind of wedding like? I've seen the pictures. It looks so cool. What's that like?
Suss them out.
Yeah, like
nice.
so much is like, but it is show not tell. And I think that also like those kind of, everyone's like, small talk, blah, like, but you take like those little small talk things about, are you going to any weddings? Like, who's your best friend? Like, what are you doing this weekend? Like, they do kind of reveal a lot about a person, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, like maybe that is a thing that could be revealed and you'll have your answer. But I do think like if someone really did have like those traditional values, they're not going to be like bopping around on.
No, not at all.
Hinge or something like that.
Yeah.
I actually have a story. So, my friend Steph?
Yes.
We went to we were high school friends together.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't necessarily go to the same high school, but like same friend group in high school. And there was somebody that like I knew from middle school who actually ended up moving down to Austin.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a traditional Muslim, came from a traditional Muslim family. And she had done a complete 180 and broken from her family.
Wow.
And was like going out and like living it up, like turned into party girl, like conservative Muslim for all of her life up until she was like mid-20s, and then moves to Austin. And she tells me, she's like, you're not gonna fucking believe this.
Jesus.
And she's super cool. Like I haven't hung out with her in person, but like because I wasn't really friendly with her, but she did. I was like, yo, I went out and we had the craziest night in Austin. Like, got invited to this person's house, ended up at like some like huge mansion on the lake. And then like, like a party where it's like, did that really wake up? And then went the next day and it's like, did that really happen that way? Like what?
That's wild. Like, because I feel like, we're not our parents. Like people grow and change. And yeah, like, I mean, from what I hear, it's kind of, I also just hear like that the arranged marriages is a bit more loose than it sounds. It's more like, this the parents say like our friends are stopping by this evening and they're bringing their daughter, and like, why don't you guys like introduce yourselves to one another? And they kind of like the big, like she referenced The Big Sick.
Great
but, like,
movie, but by the way,
I love The Big Sick.
Such a good movie.
And how did that movie end?
They end up together.
Yeah, they end up together. So like, I don't know why she's like,
love wins out, right?
It does.
It does.
So does.
It does. But yeah, like it is more like loose than it sounds.
Yeah.
It's not like, you go marry that guy.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh, we're coming up on time.
We are. Okay.
Yeah. To close out, I also wanted to make sure that I gave some extra time because I really want to continue to plug and play everything you guys are doing right now. We'll start with Eric and then we'll go to Bianca. Eric, where can we find you if we have sound needs? If you guys want to work with sound guy Eric, here's where you go.
Yeah, my Instagram is at ebw.music. We are moving back to DC, so you'll find me back in the Washington, DC area as of next week. We do our road trip next week.
No.
I'm so sad.
So yeah, but we'll be back in Austin, and I've definitely done a lot in terms of like playing with a couple bands, doing gigs, and I am a saxophone player by trade, so doing gigs with DJs and having the saxophone accompaniment. I've done that for corporate parties around town, and that's been super fun.
Mm-hmm.
Working on production stuff as well, so it's all a very fun side hustle, which hopefully at some point becomes so hopefully I can grow that to the point where I can transition from my day job and not really necessarily retire, but
It'd be nice.
just kind of transition to make my hobby and side hustle more of a permanent kind of full-time thing and phase out the being a cube monkey.
I feel that
monkey.
one. Bianca, let's give another plug to Crafts by Alonso.
Yes. You can find my earrings Instagram at crafts x Alonso ALONSO. You can find my Etsy shop at craftsbyalonso.etsy.com. I went on a little bit of a hiatus for like the holidays as well as this month, just with like getting ready to move. But once we're back in the DC area, I am diving in headfirst to creating some new designs, and I can't wait to show you guys what I've been working on.
Woo!
Oh yeah, fun fact about our move back to DC. We're actually moving in with her grandma.
Oh,
and
that'll
her
be
mom
fun.
and grandma
Abuela.
are ecstatic. They're
Oh my God.
so
They must be
excited.
stoked.
They're so excited. They're so excited, and this isn't like a type of like moving back in with your parents is a situation that we're dreading. It's very much the opposite.
No, they're great.
My mom and my abuela are the best cooks. They're nurturing. They will tell us that they love us and give us all the nourishment, but stay out of our way when needed.
Yeah,
That's
It's
ideal.
really nice. It really is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna miss you guys both. I feel like I'm having my farewell on camera and stuff, but it has been an absolute pleasure here today. Like I've always admired your relationship. It's great to hear, kind of just the story, how it went. Because I feel like I've never actually like sat down and heard it before because there's always so much going on. But it's been an absolute pleasure to have you as my guest. I'm so excited to share this episode with everybody. Eric gets to edit it, so ha 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 ha. So your work's not done yet.
not gonna make the cut.
Oh damn.
But excited to launch this episode. I think this will be a good one. People love to hear from healthy relationships, and I think that's all I got today for the listeners. But the listeners.
Hold on, can I just say that I've listened to your podcast like several times, like each episode several times. I'm sound guy, and and I love your takes on dating.
Thank you.
Because like I knew
Really
you were
appreciate
like
that.
into the dating niche, and I was like, okay, these things keep coming up, like these recurring things that like I've been talking about.
Yeah.
I never like LinkedIn for dating.
I'm a
love that
contributor to
topic.
Business Insider. The Business Insider did an
Yeah.
interview for me, so I'm excited for that one to come out.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great topic. So
I'm so
keep
excited.
finding those interesting things, and
We
I
follow
will,
the
I will
news.
keep listening.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
send me news articles. People like to send me news articles. I'm like grabbing the little clicker. But yeah, I mean, thanks you guys for coming on. Excited to share the episode, and I'm gonna miss you guys. And to everybody else, we'll catch you next time.
Thanks very much.
Okay, thanks,
Over
Shar
and
Shar.
out. Boom boom.